Where do I start? They say life imitates art. I'm trying to paint a picture. Paint a picture that's licking you scripture. I ain't just another nigga. Another nigga with a dream. It seems we finally made him all believe. A dream to be the reason we come to achieve the life that we would all kill for, even die for. I score, so sick, sick and tired of these little kids talking about shit.
I was looking at your part and everything.
Oh, I love you, thank you.
Oh.
MVP.
Okay. That part. Sorry.
It is all love.
Dad jokes.
It is all love. No more stroke music jokes.
That's OD, Laura.
I was be in the house.
No low.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Welcome to the Change the Narrative Podcast, episode 24.
Better than it.
All right, well, we'll try again. Welcome to Change the Narrative Podcast, episode 24. I'm your host, Terrence Taylor. One of our hosts isn't here today. Her name's Lauren Sears, and she's in the Cayman Islands, and she's getting tan and wearing feathers.
And nothing else.
It's Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I'm sitting in between two great people. The one to my right,
Dwayne Jones of RPS Me. And across from me is...
special guest, not so special because you've been here before, but that's all right. Welcome back again.
Hey, thank you for having me. My name is Verena Rizg.
And you got a lot of brain power.
And I'm a fly on the wall again.
Hello, you're more than a fly on the wall this time.
She's a fly on the wall, and she finally has her own microphone.
Hey.
That means she's a fly in the soup.
Hey.
Fly in the soup?
I'm moving up in the world.
What kind of soup?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
What was that pot of deliciousnness that you had backstage at Moments in Culture?
Oh, it's sauce, and that's what I basically spilled all over my car.
And now it still smells like it.
Sauce. You had that sauce.
Sauce. So basically what sauce is like when you hear about like chitlins in the South, in the States, it's like when black people take any part of the pig, like the fattiest parts that nobody wants, and pickle it and put all kinds of spices and stuff and then cook it until the meat falls off the bone and cut it up. That's sauce. It's a Caribbean dish.
The meat fell off the bone directly into my mouth. And it was so good. OMG. Thank you, Dwayne. V, when you laugh because you don't have headphones, no. Sandra's here. Is the door locked upstairs?
And a bone.
Head boom. Sandra's here. When you laugh, you have to not scream into the microphone when you laugh, okay? Cool. Now you know. What are we going to talk about today? Our lives?
Our lives, moments of culture.
That's been your life. When did you start thinking about that?
I was trying to trace that back myself. I know Sully and I probably started talking about it like a year or 2 years ago.
Okay.
But we didn't actually come up with a name and an actual plan until I want to say February, March maybe. We started actually putting it into action.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sandra.
What's up?
Hello, welcome. It's my Sandra and the mom is back in the building to write all the words and all the things that happen in the room today. Thank you for coming by.
She's German.
What?
She's German.
You're German?
I was.
Is this a story that we don't know about?
No, she's German. I was trying to do it in a German accent.
I thought you were doing like a Jamaican.
Did I miss
Yeah,
that?
I
Are you
heard
actually
German, but that's okay.
Yeah.
German, Jamaicans, Germany. Close enough. What were we just talking about? Salita.
Yes.
And you conceived this Moments in Culture baby in like 3 or 4 months?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah,
Congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
That shit was epic.
Thank you.
Hold on. Because, we're going to... I'm gonna enter a round of applause in here as well, like a huge gladiator, hear me roar type applause.
Okay.
Because
I deserve it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm thankful to be a fly on the wall.
Oh.
Because if you've ever been backstage of a fashion show,
Chaos.
it's exactly what you think it is. It was so cool though.
Yeah.
And shit got done. And it was so cool. It was so
organized chaos.
cool. Yes. And on the front end, didn't look like too much chaos.
No.
I know. That's the thing. You go outside and everyone's kind of sitting, waiting.
Yeah.
You go backstage and people are
It's like
running.
outside the curtain. Like you have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different world.
It's definitely enlightening stepping into.
Yeah, so like this is your personal week story, so
Yeah.
we're not going to talk
Back it up.
about it. You talk about it.
Okay, so yeah, my week is, well, most of my weeks have been consumed with this show, but the last week in particular was like a lot of painting, having complete mishaps at the print shop.
You know what? I don't want to start this conversation yet.
Okay, yeah,
Because
that's what I'm
this
thinking.
is
It's
the-
going to be big.
This is the deep dive. So
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about us first, and then we're gonna talk about a couple other things.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna talk about moments and culture for half an hour.
Sure.
Because I know the people want to know. They've been listening. Some people were there. Some really smart people were there because they knew they couldn't miss a moment in culture. It's named so well. Oh.
Yeah.
Who came up with it? No, I'm gonna save that question for later. V,
Hi.
how was your week? What did you do?
My week was good.
Something personal that happened, and something professional that existed in your life.
Something personal was there was a lot kind of going on this week for me personally and professionally. And personally, I reached out to a friend when I normally would have found it difficult to do so. So that was a big moment for me because it was I recognized that I needed some help getting grounded, and that's hard to admit sometimes. So I did that this week, and it made my life a lot easier.
What does grounding look like for you?
Basically giving me a safe space to speak without having to question confidentiality or loyalty, or whether or not my personal stuff is safe with you. So having a space to be able to speak, but also not feeling like the other person feels like they have to solve all my problems. Like I really just needed someone to listen to me. Because sometimes you can work through your stuff when you're just speaking it. You just need a safe person to speak to.
Right.
And a lot of us have, maybe one or two or a few people who we're safe with, but it's really hard to say to someone, can I have some of your time? Like and I'm usually the person who people gravitate to, and sometimes when they don't know me well. But for me to do that is really difficult.
Right.
So I found myself in moments this week where I really needed that, and I did it. So I'm proud of myself for doing
Good job.
that.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Good for you. Side note, you have a beautiful face, but
Thank
if your
you.
hair is covering it on this side, the camera can't see
it.
you.
Okay.
Can you flip the left dude?
That's going to be a
Yes.
process, isn't it?
You know
Over.
what?
Oh, there we go.
Can we do that?
You should give me your phone. Wait, let me just fix my hair.
Because there's one that's kind of
See,
flipped
this is what
up.
happens.
But
Can you over
it
your
out.
camera?
Yeah, boom. I got it. Got it.
These
There
are
you go.
hair tutorials.
There you go. On the fly. Get it done.
Hey. Oh, yeah, we're okay.
Yeah.
You can do that?
I think we're okay. Yeah. What are your thoughts,
There we
John?
go.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You
Got
set.
a little something at the top.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah, like
Will
at
you move it?
Yeah, there you go. Terrence got it.
That one back there you talking about? This one way in the back.
That was the one that you got. The one you got first was.
Okay, cool. Don't touch it no more.
Yeah.
Don't touch it no more. Now you're touching
Okay.
it. Don't touch it no more.
Okay.
It's perfect. You do is done.
This is my face.
There it is.
Okay.
Welcome.
Here we go.
Everyone see the face.
But I want to dig into that a little bit.
Go.
So you mentioned the people not trying to solve, because that's a big thing for me too. Sometimes I'll be trying to vent, and people feel like they have to solve
Fix.
the problem for me or fix
Yeah.
it, and I'm just like I don't really want that right now. I just
No.
kind of I just want to vent and complain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when I listen to people, I usually ask or try and figure out what they're coming to me for.
Right.
So I'll say, are you looking for my opinion? Or do you just need to vent? Mm-hmm. So that I'm not assuming what the other person needs. Yeah. Right.
Is it tough to find the people who you can vent to versus people who okay. The floor is yours.
If I so much as have to question someone's loyalty, like if I so much as have to question whether or not what I speak to is going to be repeated, I will not speak about my personal issues. And that's something I've, learned the hard way. I think a lot of us have learned that. But once you've made the mistake of trusting someone you should not have, right, you're a lot more careful. As you have to be. Like the Bible says, above all else, guard your hearts. You have to protect your heart. And especially where if you have... You just have to, be vigilant with protecting your private pain.
Right. Mm. More so than trust. How do we determine there's people you trust, that there can be two separate people that you trust, that neither one of them will tell what you tell them. But one person is not the person you would tell these things to because, like you said, some people don't understand when they need to just shut up and listen to you venting. Mm-hmm. How do you determine who your vent person is versus who your advice person is? Because sometimes they're different, sometimes they're the same, but a lot of times they're not the same person.
For me, most of the time they're the same. That. Usually they're the same. If I feel safe enough to speak to you, to vent, then usually I'm safe enough to heed to your advice. Right. And if you're that close to me, chances are your advice is advice that I respect. But it's just a matter of timing. Right. Sometimes I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for the step forward. I just got to deal with these raw emotions now type deal. Right. But emotional availability is a huge thing for me. If I feel like I'm being a burden to someone, then I'm not going to speak.
Can you deep dive into emotional availability and what that means?
So holding space for people. An example I often use is my father, and it sounds a little lame, but he, to me, is the perfect example of what it means to be an empath, and just a loving and supportive human to really anyone who knows him. But in my relationship with my father, I've never contacted him or gone to him with him ever making me feel like I'm adding to his plate. And he's always very eager to be there, even when... Sometimes I've gone to him in situations where he's been like up to here and I had no idea until after the fact. But he never would have even let me know. Right. That's someone who holds space for you. Right. And they do that so that whenever you do reach out, you're never hindered or hesitant to reach out again. But if you feel rejected or like you're a burden or like you're annoying the person, then it makes it harder to reach out.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I got a shout out to Vinny. She, when I was in university, that was my homie. She got me like, she heard all my drama. But like, same time, I could just complain to her, or I could be like, what do you think? I want a female perspective on this. Am I wilding right now? No. And she could give it to me straight. Like,
yeah. Maybe a little bit. But we need that. Yeah. We need that. We need...
Speak your truth in love.
Yeah. You got a professional story?
Yeah, something big. Well, I can't really go into details of my professional stories, but I think for me the big thing this week was I started my new job in December. I've no...
What is your new job?
So I went from working at a medium to maximum male security prison, where I still volunteer, but I went from working there full time to working at the military hospital. Okay. So the medicine is the same wherever you go, but the work environment is so different, and there's been a steep learning curve, and there's been a lot of turnover in my workplace with the physicians who I work with. And I've really had to hold down the fort a lot since I've started, which I'm I've been holding it down, you know? And what happened this week was I'm starting, like, all my cases, like, in terms of patient load, I'm also taking patients from the physicians who are not there at present. And so I'm learning all these patients. And it's when you're learning someone, you're learning, like, every condition they've had in their history. And a lot of them are complex. Some of them aren't so much. But now my patients are starting to get to know me, and I had one patient say, hold on, I'm not being transferred to anyone else's care type of deal. And that was like, okay, I'm really like, yeah. Nice. And some of my colleagues commented on comments that patients are making to them. So I'm settling into this new gig. I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Good for you. My week, I got some deals signed.
Hey.
I got some projects wrapped up, some video work I'm doing for a lot of people, which is good. And I'm excited about that. And I'll kind of talk about this in our field story topic too. But understanding how much work we need as a entrepreneur in whatever field we are, like how many clients do you actually need to make the amount of money you want to make?
Yeah.
Because we think we need 56 clients.
And you might not.
You might need 3.
Yeah. Seriously.
So I'm taking a step back and surveying kind of what's going on in the development of Terrence Taylor Media, and with what we're building and who we've been working with so far, how some of those relationships have manifested. Sid put me in contact with a gentleman, and we're doing real estate videos. And as much as Sid is in real estate, we're doing two completely different types of real estate video content. So that's cool, but it's seeing that Halifax Social Network led me to Sid, which led me to this space in which we're using, which led me to another client. And it's like, oh, this little network we have, it's pretty tight,
pretty
first
powerful.
of all. And it's did you see that little snippet I posted on Instagram, the gang?
That gave me so many feels.
Yo, it was what? J-Ro,
Such a hard.
Bradley, Dwayne, V was in there. Meech was there. Peter was there. Bo was there. King from Citadel was there. So squad.
What if you saw that? She's like, it's so great to see you find your people. You always said you can never find your people. Yeah. And it's like you found your people.
You found your tribe.
We the squad. Yeah. We the squad, yo. So seeing how that network's developing is cool for the business side, but even for the professional side, which is still kind of this project is still kind of professional, but on the personal side, I'm starting a interview series called T.A.L.E.S, Terrence and Legends Exchange Stories. Friday night before our Pays Me show, we gathered some incredible humans together. We ate some tacos. We shared some laughs. We had some stories. We took some pictures. Aaron Downey was there.
Hey.
Gab and Gabe from the Lost and Founders podcast was there. Jesse and Nicole were there. Sandra and her moms was there. My mother was there. Bradley was there. Matt Thompson from P4G. Like Jody Eula. Like this, and there's more people that I feel bad for. This it was Alfred Burgess was there. Like Meech was there. Like everybody who I've recognized as like really dope ass, cool ass people. Yeah. Sid was there. Emma was there.
Yeah, Emma's friend.
What's homegirl from Halifax Social Network? The new Laura. Like this is what I'm saying, yo. Like and it's the people who are doing the most. Like who are really working, really turning their ideas into reality, and like we're seeing the benefit of collaboration.
Yeah.
So I have the plan to sit down with all these people. Verena was there, like Dwayne was there, obviously, and I get to sit
Pete
down.
Was there too.
Pete was there. That's what I'm saying, yo. Brielle was there. Brielle and his lady. Yo, that's what I'm saying, man. Like everybody who I, and there was a few people who unfortunately couldn't be there, but Jeremy Saunders, Lacey, Salita, Lauren, Sean McCullum, like, just like, yo, look at all these fucking incredible people that we're being honest, less than a year of being back in the city, I've connected with and found a way to do something with.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to talk to these people and I want to share their stories. I want the city of Halifax to continue to build and create content that highlights the people that are here, bragging about why we're the best fucking crew of people in the best city, in the best province, in the best country, in the motherfucking world. And I identify these people as legendary people in their own right, the things that they're doing. I commend them, I'm inspired by them, and I just want to eat food with them and share stories and laugh and build whatever it is we're trying to do. So that happened. That was really exciting.
I want to say thank you too. I know you and V put a lot of effort into piecing that.
Well,
that was like the food was delicious. So I just props. Thank you.
We brought the TNT food experience back for the night, yo. And the half of it too was, a reason to gather some really amazing people together the night before in celebration of what you're doing, because we're all doing this together.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I want to have this gathering, and I want to do it in a few weeks. This was like a month ago, and I want to do it a few weeks. I'm like, Dwayne, can we just do it right before your party? Like, this is another reason to just support each other. He was like, yeah, man, let's do that. So I was like, all right, cool, we just did it, and it was done. So we out here, yo.
Can I be a little transparent though?
Please.
When you said that, I was like, the night before, I'm gonna be in a friggin' chaotic mess.
Stress, anxious.
But I was being like, I didn't want to say that, but that's what I was thinking. But then I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to get it all done early. I'll be ready so I can just relax. Didn't happen like that.
No. I kind of felt, I was like, I don't want to do it the night before because I know he's going to be in crunch mode.
Yeah.
But I want this man to relax.
Well, originally you were thinking the day of.
No, the day after. We was going to do it either the night after. Oh, yeah, we were going to do it the night of.
Yeah, you were thinking of doing it the night of. And we were like...
Nah. So we did the day before.
Right, yeah.
And I selfishly wanted Dwayne to have a couple of hours of stress that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Or like was lessened, or you could like eat and relax and like get some good vibes. I don't know if it pushed the schedule back.
So... Here's
okay, here we go.
So Salita didn't come for the reason why I almost did. I came close to not coming. I was actually talking to her. I was outside. I'm like, yo, I'm at the thing. She's like, you're going? Yeah. I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna get dressed. But then she never came.
That's okay.
I know she was like,
of course,
buried. And I just had a conversation with myself and realized I think I'm overreaching a little bit in terms of what I was trying to get done.
Okay.
And it was stuff that people wouldn't even really notice. And I was like forcing myself just to do it because I made this arbitrary goal for myself. So that was one thing I had to think about.
Okay.
I ended up being happy I went because I stayed way longer than I was. Because I'm that guy. I'm like, I'll just have one,
I was surprised you stayed as long as you did. I'll be honest with you.
I'll just be in and out. And the next thing I know, I'm like, hey, what's up? So, I stayed probably way too long. And then I came home and it was like, oh, I got paint. So I just feel inspired.
But one of the best paintings came out.
Probably my favorite in the show.
Which one?
The Kaepernick Purpose one.
Yes.
I banged it out that night.
Incredible. It's my favorite one.
Yeah. And I was like...
That's cool.
Woke up 5 o'clock in the morning and I was like, all adrenaline. I was like, Zeke, we're going for a run, bro.
Yes.
Took Zeke for a run.
Good for you.
And then I went right back, finished the painting off, finished the rest of them because they all needed like touch-ups.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh man, there's just so many things that I didn't really consider needed to get done. And I got... Anyway, I'm taking over your story. I shouldn't.
No, my story's over.
We're here for it.
Yeah, that's what this shit is all about, man. It's all about what people got going on.
See, you say you stayed too long, but
Yeah.
almost argue that you didn't, Because you stayed because you got caught up in energy.
Yes.
That was different. You stayed because you got caught up in the energy that was in that space, which was super positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was a healthy thing for you at that time.
Yeah, I would agree. Because at the time I was like, man, I felt kind of fired up. Like I had great conversations with people, and it wasn't like I was sitting around feeling awkward or anything. It was just I went from one conversation to another conversation, and I just didn't want to go. So that was the thing. I'm torn because the practical part of me was like, there were some things that I probably could have done.
Right.
Differently.
Yeah, if I probably realistically should have not stayed for as long as I stayed.
Right.
But then at the same time, things worked out the way they worked out.
Of course they did.
So one of my favorite parts of that evening was the fact that we all left knowing that we were going to see each other the next day. Because everyone was like, of course I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was really cool to have like that evening together and be in such a positive space.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, yeah, we're showing up for Dwayne tomorrow. Of course we are. That was pretty cool.
And I love seeing you guys there. It's just
glad you did something cool, man.
Yeah, it was
something
magic.
epic. Created a moment.
It was pretty cool walking in on Saturday and seeing the whole squad in front.
Front row. Yeah, you should have. If you guys didn't, you're gonna see it because we make a documentary about it, Moments in Culture. But y'all gonna see Sid Kozaski's purple paisley blazer. Oh my!
I told him I'm gonna borrow it.
Meech has some wicked pants on too.
Yeah, he couldn't
Meech
squat.
always
He
kills it too,
couldn't
right?
rap squat because she would split them things right in half.
Yeah, we had a nice painful pose.
But Sid's blazer.
Yeah, Sid. Yeah, good looking, bro.
Pretty amazing outfits.
Do you have a field story? An inspiring or frustrating story with regards to your profession?
Sure.
Go.
Yeah. So there was a doc who wasn't present, and so I'm just like holding down the fort, seeing people for intermittently until people come back from being away or on leave, and some docs aren't coming back. So I saw this one patient and didn't want to speak to me whatsoever. I haven't ran into that at all at the base, but was very forward about it and stormed out of my office when the person found out that the physician was no longer on leave, but it was his first day back and he couldn't see patients, and straight up stormed out. I offered my services to her. I'm like, hey, what can I do for you today? I'm here for whatever you need today. And it wasn't so much it's funny because it didn't bother me whatsoever. I've had so many worse situations. I've been treated terribly by patients across the years of doing this, but I've also been treated so wonderfully by my patients that stuff like that's very much okay, if you're that, if you're going to act that way, that's totally on you. That's your problem. Yeah. And I've done what I can. But that tells me how far I've come in my profession, because I used to take things like that really personally.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm in a profession where I see people at their most vulnerable all the time. And you see the best and the worst of people, and you just learn to not take it personally, but that used to be so hard for me to do. Oh, Aaron, this is a shout out to Aaron, because we were speaking of the Four Agreements, which is one of my favorite books, and it speaks of 4 principles throughout this book, and one of them is don't make assumptions, which is a principle to live by. But another principle to live by is don't make assumptions and don't take anything personally.
That's so hard. That's so hard.
Aaron, on that same vibe, we were talking about this at the T.A.L.E.S event.
Very hard.
Don't take anything personally. So that was a moment for me, because it's hey, I'm not carrying that negativity.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. I'm here to provide care, but only if you want it.
It's interesting how the type of profession you're in can dictate kind of how you handle things and whether you handle them personally or not. 'Cause I feel like you're not selling anything.
No.
So
People have to want care.
right. It's different for us when we're like, hey, you want to buy this thing? And you're like, no. And you're like, what's wrong with it? Why don't you want it? You know?
They don't like me.
Right.
But sometimes it can be personal because it's like, well, do you not think I'm capable of providing you care? Because I've had some people think. I had one patient say to me, as I was writing his prescription, he said, so you went to college?
Wow.
And this wasn't in Nova Scotia. He said, so you went to college? And I said, in my head, I'm like, no, I bought this degree online. Like, and he said, I said, yes, sir. I spent 7 years in, I was going to say prison. I spent 7 years in university. And he said, did it take everyone that long?
Are you serious?
What?
Yeah. And then, like, as I'm writing a prescription for him, for his antihypertensives.
You're like, you know what? I'm gonna hold this prescription.
No,
I'm
for
gonna
real.
give you something else.
No, for real. I've had one patient tell me they don't want a nigger taking care of them. I've had but that's
my
hard
mother's
to
mother's told me that too.
take
She's a nurse as well. Yeah.
But you know, it's a work in progress, and I'm getting better.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Wow.
man.
Good for you.
And have you found that from the gender perspective too?
Very much so. And
Better
this is so
question
good.
is, do you get it more from a gender or from an age perspective?
both.
Both.
And
Yeah.
okay, I'm a woman of
'Cause she's
color.
young, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm young. I'm not terrible to look at, and I'm easily one of the youngest people in my field.
Right.
So I am young, a woman of color, and like I don't go to work looking terrible.
Which then the perception is you lack
she's
intelligence.
just cute.
Right.
Yeah. And I've had some people say, "Oh, well, you're not just cute.
Oh.
You really are smart." And that's so demeaning to me because being
What is-
cute
yeah.
is not an accomplishment, but I can be cute and be really smart at the same time.
I'm
But
curious.
guess what? I'm not just smart. I work my ass off.
Yeah.
Like, I put in work. And everything I am, like where I am in my career, I slaved to get there. I did not have a husband or fiance paying my way through school. I worked in acute care medicine when I was doing my master's. I worked overnight and go to class all day while I was a caregiver to someone in my personal life at the time. Like, I worked for this. I'm not just casually smart and
Right.
and cute. Like, I put in where I'm dedicated.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That would be frustrating.
Yeah. Well, I'm
love
curious.
the look on people's face. Like, I love the look on people's faces when they see, because I have to walk into like a waiting room and call patients into
see
my
their
office
reaction.
and walk them out. So I love seeing their reaction when they see me. And I love everyone in the waiting room is looking like,
Yeah.
and then I love seeing the look on patients' faces when I start talking medical talk to them when they tell me their issues or when I'm assessing them or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, like she really knows what she's doing. But I have to prove myself to everyone.
Yeah.
That's still bullshit.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's tiring, but I'm learning to not take it personal because
Right.
I could have two different perspectives on it, right? I could be bitter,
Right.
but that's not going to change anything. Or I could be positive about it and be like, guess what? Your stereotypes are going to be shattered.
Right.
Like, that's a challenge, and I rise to the occasion. And if I have to put in that extra work, then I'll do that to build my name for myself, because I have a name for myself, and I'll continue to do what I've always done
Right.
to
Yeah.
maintain that.
You better.
Thanks.
You ain't got no choice.
Hey.
I'm going to tell my field story, because then we're going to listen to Dwayne talk for the rest of the podcast. We're going to ask some questions. Figure out the shit.
Okay.
I don't... Okay, so...
It's a really good idea.
Yeah, the Fuzzy Peaches? Yeah, good call. I saw a post today on Facebook that I posted 2 years ago. You know, you get those memories. And it was... I actually want to read it. Because I think it sounds like me.
You either love or hate Facebook memories, but I usually love them.
I love them when I get in my bag and start talking shit. So, Okay, so it said, I love when people tell me my vision. I love when I tell people my vision and they try to corral me back in and tell me what's possible and what's realistic.
Uh-oh.
Listen, people, I'm on a mission to do and create something that's never ever been accomplished in human existence. It's so far out there, you're right. So I understand why your brain can't wrap itself around the concept that I've decided to create for the world. There's no wonder you didn't believe it's possible. And to be completely honest, I don't blame you. There's a reason I said, shut up, sit back, get your popcorn ready, and enjoy the show. I believe in me, so does my mama. Beat that. And
Does that not sound like the same person?
Yes.
I love the snorts. That's great.
Does that not sound like the same person?
It's the same person.
You said 3 years ago or 2
That was
years
2 years
ago?
ago. That would have been like 6 months into. No, that would have been like 9 months into TNT, and I was like, "You Islanders who said I couldn't do this shit, and it is working. Keep your motherfucking mouth shut." And that was the energy I was on, because when I lived on the island, it was like me against everybody. I really felt that way, and I had to like stir up this like. It was kind of like people don't like me, so I have to prove myself. And I was just like, all right, everybody's the enemy then. I'm in this bitch by myself, and we're gonna figure it out. And that's where that energy was coming from. But I look back at it now, and I'm like, you know what? I do have these huge, gigantic, monstrous goals of things I want to accomplish. And then I look and I see, well, damn, it took like 4 years to build what I've built so far, and like to get to this point. And I'm like, okay, I haven't really had much time to do other things in life other than just like work 70 hours a week. And it's gotten me kind of far, but in the big picture, not really. And which means I got a lot more work to do.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But we all have personal lives and like other shit to do other than work. And then I see a dude with 2 kids and a wife put it all together, and I'm like, how the fuck did you do that? So I'm like, all right. And this is me being a 30-year-old selfish single man who doesn't have to worry about a lot of other things other than myself. And that's kind of how my life has always been. So I'm used to that, but it's not something I want to continue to be used to.
Gotcha.
So it's like, all right, how do I...
Something's got to give.
Right. So if I don't... So now I'm almost in a position where... And I've had this conversation... Mike Tanner had a good chat this week. And we're just talking about, you know, what is the ideal career situation? Like a lot of people... Some people are entrepreneurs and they like build their own thing and will always and forever build their own thing. Yeah. Some people who work in a job forever and that's what they want to do. And then there's some people who work in a job and like have their passion is their side hustle. Then there's some people who their passion is their front hustle, but their job is their kind of bill payer. So I'm like, okay, there's a few options here. Based on what I'm doing, what I want to do, where I want to go, how I want to do it. Like, as the mic falls back, how it though. How we're just gonna.
It became kind of confusing because everyone was always like, which one's your side hustle and which one's your main hustle? Because eventually they switch. And it's like, wait, now I'm confused. The way I saw it was that you would like have your side hustle is your passion and your main hustle is your job, but you're working to switch them.
Yeah. So why don't you start with your side hustle? Because that's essentially what I've done. Is I'm like, all right, my side hustle has been my whole hustle. But only, I mean, in theory, you're only doing that so that you can prove yourself. So then you can kind of get one of these cushy gigs that kind of pays the bills. So that's where I think I'm at now, where I'm like, can I find something part-time that pays most of my bills, and if not all of my bills, and then I can do all the fun stuff that I want to do on my own time, and if I don't want to work, I don't have to. Because this concept of well, no, and I think we've been fed this for a while, like this entrepreneur, like, work 60, 70 hours a week, like, that's what you got to do to make it. You're like, yeah, but what does make it? You know, like, how much money do I really need? Okay, well, if I can supplement half of that with a job with the benefits and all the other stuff, and then do the projects on the quote-unquote side that I actually want to do and aren't doing just to get money to live, then I think that's the plan.
Yeah, well, can I jump into that?
Please.
So I got into a little bit of a Facebook thing with this guy I went to high school with who was a Trump supporter.
Okay.
So
here we go.
he started going on about how like black people are always complaining about race and stuff like that, and I was like, well, the thing is, it's reality. People are talking about their reality, so I mean, you don't have to understand or care, but it's their reality. So if they want to speak about it, it's their right. And I think he kind of directed it at me because I kind of was in that boat. And I was like, if I'm completely 100% honest with you, but I have accomplished every single goal that I had set for myself in life. So right now, I'm in overtime, just adding shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So to say that I'm sitting here making excuses and...
You could miss me with that.
Yeah, you know, it was like, dude, I'm just pointing out facts.
Right.
But, you know, I'm not making any excuses for any shortcomings. Like I said, I got every single goal. At the time I owned a home. That was one of my goals. I had 2 kids. That was a goal.
Yeah.
And you know, I had a dog. I had a wife. I had everything that I wanted.
Yeah.
Everything else is like, okay, what can I do next?
Yeah.
So, fuck off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's great. So all that to say that I think I've found where I can position my time as a quote-unquote employee, but at the same time of freelance creative.
Yeah.
And I think I'm there.
Okay.
Which means that the huge dream that I'm like, okay, because I saw Kanye display his God complex to the world, and I love him as a creative person, but I was like, when Van said, like, the shit that you're saying, it affects like the normal black dude walking down the street. Like, you can't just say this shit and pretend like it's not a big deal. I was like, you know what? You can't.
Yeah.
And
You have to be held accountable.
I listened to J. Cole's interview with Angie Martinez. I didn't finish it, and if you haven't listened to it, please go listen to it. He talks about our obsession with celebrity and how we
idolize.
Like these people are gods. And it's like, no, this is a man. Like, this is a human on earth. What, like, there's... I was like, yeah, you're right. And then when people believe that they're something, and like, listen, man, I love Yeezus. I love the song "I Am a God," but you had to be in a very interesting mind space to create a song like that. And bro, you mean that shit when you say it.
Certain behaviors.
One of my biggest pet peeves of this whole like woke movement is a lot of people be woke, but are really just self-worshipping. Like self-obsessed. There's a difference between being enlightened and woke for real, and a difference between worshiping yourself. But we are a generation that really has that confused, I feel. I don't know if y'all
No, I think
hear what I'm
I know
saying,
what you're
but
getting at.
it's a huge pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, I think it's that sometimes the people who are the smartest in the room is not the people with all the answers. It's the person that's like asking the questions. Because you find like the super woke people, they get mad at people for not knowing the answers.
Everything, right?
And it's like you can't expect everybody to be as red as you are,
Right.
and sometimes you're not as red as you think you are,
Right.
and it's like we're always attacking people for making missteps,
Right.
and when sometimes I think we could just be helpful to people and really help them get.
Yeah.
And I know it gets into that whole thing of it's not my job to teach you to not be racist or whatever the case may be. I've already been through enough trauma, but I don't think we're ever going to come to a solution to any of this if all of us are like you said, worshiping ourselves in terms of I'm so smart, I'm so socially aware.
But spending so much of that time speaking ill of other people, like that's what I don't get down with, is the complaining that's always putting someone else down, which is why I always talk about, like, I'm very mindful to really listen to people's words and to like just... For me, like earlier you asked like people who I trust or how do I kind of like vet people or whatever. I really pay attention to what people say about themselves. Because a lot of the times those same people you're talking about do nothing but speak of themselves. And you hear a God complex. I'd rather have someone in my circle who other people are talking to me about the work that they're doing, the work that person's doing, where other people are telling me about the kindness that's shown to them by that person. That's the kind of person I want in my circle. I don't want someone who's just self-worshipping and always talking about themselves and thinking about themselves. Right?
And that's what the Kanye shit did.
Basically.
It's like, I respect your creative, but I had to start looking like, man, I see how people are separating themselves from separating the music from the person.
Yeah, you have to, right? It's like, this guy might just be an asshole.
And sometimes that's why some artists I really don't want to meet. Like, you know how some people really want to meet their favorite artist? I'm like, no. If I met Erykah Badu or Lauryn Hill or Tracy Chapman or Ben Harper, J. Cole, I'd love to meet these people, but at the same time, I'm really not going to go out on the limb and do all kinds of crazy things to meet them, because guess what? If I met you and you do not meet this, like, the picture I have in my head of you because of your music, which I love, then I'll be mortified.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, you likely will be surprised, because Lauryn Hill says in Lauryn Hill Unplugged, which is like the greatest piece of art ever created, thank you. She says, y'all don't know me. You do not know me. You're sitting here, just because you're sitting here listening to me doesn't mean you know me. I'm just getting to know me, she says. Right? And I get down with that, but
yeah.
No,
you
that's
have
true.
to separate the two.
That's facts. No, that's facts. And so you see this man going crazy, and you're like, you know, as someone who is inspired by this person, sometimes you, like you said, people put it humble with a hint of Kanye, or like you gotta always have that, and you're like, yeah, you do, but we have to monitor the way in which we kind of pat ourselves on the back.
People who say they're humble are not humble, because you. It's a contradiction. It's a contradiction. You cannot say I'm so humble.
Yeah. You're bragging right there.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm humble. I've heard so many rappers do that.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. So Kanye's God complex basically showed me that if I want to create these huge masterpieces, things like Moments in Culture, I'm going to need a huge team of people, which requires delegation, which I'm not very good at, and which I can do, but I don't know if right now I want to. I don't know if adding more people to my very inner team workings is what I need. Now, having people like you and like the people in this room and having you like on that outer level, it's like, all right, cool. Like we can all kind of feed off each other.
Intimacy there.
Right. But for me to have an assistant, like, yeah, it'd be great. But like when you have employees, like that's another beast in itself. So, when it comes down to the relationship building, the management of this person, now you have new paperwork in your business because you're paying it's like, okay,
it's a headache you don't want to deal with.
Right. So okay, and maybe I dial back and do more of this maybe I keep doing this on my own, but maybe all that other stuff I wanted to do, maybe I don't, in seeing how long it took me to get here, I'm like, okay, maybe we could park a lot of this stuff and focus on a few of the things that are really, really working well. And in tune brings back all of this dreamland. I have to do all of this stuff. It's like we've done something really cool in this city already that I don't know what will happen from our actions, but I feel like if we stopped right now, something good's gonna come from what we've done, and that's the win.
Yeah.
I want to kind of tie back to your lesson of the week, because I feel like your lesson and my lesson are kind of intertwined and apply to this message. If I'm not going off on a tangent, but all the more reason for naysayers, I wouldn't even give them energy or see anyone as the enemy or whatever, because people who don't have faith in you likely don't have faith in themselves and are really struggling through what they're going through.
Right.
So I think it all just boils down to not taking anything personally, but also when that comes your way, using it as motivation. And that's kind of what I was trying to get at earlier, with patients and shattering the stereotypes. I love that's motivation to me, because guess what? I got this.
That's how I felt about TNT afterwards. I was like, you know what? I moved to this little island that sold healthy food. It was weird, and people said it wouldn't work, and then it did, and I shut it down at the perfect time before it got out of hand. That's a win.
And knowing the difference between walking away, knowing when to walk away, and quitting. There's a huge difference, and respect for knowing when to walk away.
But here's the thing, though, and me and Mike Tanner had this conversation. There's nothing wrong with quitting.
No, there isn't.
Nothing
there
wrong.
isn't.
No.
But at the same time, some people there are some people who don't know how to finish anything they start.
That's true.
And that's a problem. That's a legitimate problem.
Right.
So there's importance to dedicating yourself to something.
Right.
But I think a lot of us have trouble knowing when to walk away, because I know I'm someone, I want to finish what I started.
Right.
I have I can't even watch a movie if I know that I'm going to fall asleep during it. Do you know what I
Same
mean?
here. I want to stop it too, because I'm too tired. I gotta.
But sometimes it's better to quit, because we know if we keep going down this rabbit hole, that then we got to dig ourselves out of it, and that's time we could have spent focusing on the thing that our conscience is probably you should probably do this other thing. And you're like, but I started this other thing.
Why do you think so many people end up divorced? Y'all shouldn't have even gotten married. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Knowing when to walk away. Nothing wrong. In fact, it's a skill. It's a skill that you need to learn. How do I know, professionally, personally, relationally, how do I know when something isn't for me?
When is too much? When has it been too much?
All the more reason we need to know ourselves, because if I know myself, I know when something...
I think there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner too,
Talk about it.
Like a business owner in the traditional sense, people always say, when they hear you want to start a business, they think of it as this thing you're going to do forever. Whereas an entrepreneur they tend to be the type of person that gets something going, and they do it until they're no longer interested in it, and they sell it or they go off and do something else.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it's not with flakiness, it's just with following their bliss in a way, this is what's working for me right now. I'd rather go in this direction.
All right. Dwayne Jones' field story. I know he's getting ready to talk about moments in culture, so the rest of the show, my kind gentleman friend, is dedicated to you. We have one listener question that we're going to answer at the end. But until then, we're going to talk moments in culture, because it just happened. It's fresh in your brain. We want to know what happened. So, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So moments in culture happened.
Go ahead. Damn right, and congratulations again. I'm going to keep saying it because the shit was dope.
Thank you.
I was inspired. I don't know what I'm even inspired to do. Sandra, I told you if you poured the water, you was going to make a mess.
I thought I waited long enough.
No, you didn't wait long enough. Sandra made a mess because she's impatient for the water, but she wants her hydration. So
I gotta sip. I'm good.
yeah, sit this one up. Just take a little time break. You want some paper towels? We got paper towels in the shot.
I'm just gonna air
Thought
dry.
about that earlier. I was like, oh, I should move those paper towels, and I didn't move them. And now they're in the shot, but now they're out of the shot. Moments in Culture was incredible. I was inspired to do something. I don't even know what. But being in that room and seeing you bring at least 200 people.
Final call was 174.
Yeah.
Not including the models and everybody.
Right. That's impressive.
Yeah. So that was it exceeded my expectation. I was like expecting 20 people to come, but hoping for way more. So it actually overall I got a lot of great feedback. There were some technical things that are really embarrassing to me that didn't really go smoothly. So
Why were they embarrassing?
Because I just didn't picture it going that way. I just wanted things to go smoothly as smoothly as possible. You know what I mean? Well, I wish they did go as smoothly as possible, I guess. But I just didn't want any hitches. I wanted all of my people who came through to have a really great positive experience from top to bottom. I didn't feel good about people paying money to just look at my stuff, and
Right.
so there were things there that I wish we would change, or that I would change the next time around, just to make sure some of that experience is better. As far as the creative, I mean, I did the best I could, so it is what it is. If people like it, hopefully they do, but if they don't, that's okay too.
If people like it?
Yeah.
I know. You was at the show. And
I need you to elaborate on that thought. How is that a thought that's real?
Because people sometimes just don't like what you produce, and that's just real. So
That's true too.
Yeah, I don't want to go in there Terrence said, the God complex. I'm the artist. Look at my beautiful work.
Yeah.
Look at my
and
canvas.
everybody worship at my feet. I don't come in there like that. I'm more like, this is what I produce. Hopefully you like it.
We loved it.
Well, thank you.
No,
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we did. We're gonna talk about some of the stories behind some of the pieces.
Yeah.
Even if there's a couple that are, your personal favorites. Maybe some that maybe took you more time to create, or maybe some that they came to your mind and instantly it was out and done.
Yeah.
So yeah, share some of the stories of the pieces that connected with you, that means something to you.
So I'll start with purpose. So I had one that's purpose and profit, and I had one arm, and then the other arm it had purpose over profit. And the reason I did that
It was incredible.
was because for me, there's this balance, or this fight almost, but not a bad fight, between the two that I think is important. But the common denominator is always purpose. So I'm feeling we're always taught as artists, and sometimes business people too, the money is the thing. But for me, it's the purpose is the thing. But there's nothing wrong with making some money too. So it's purpose and profit. So you don't have to feel guilty about making money while doing good for the world,
That's a concept that I feel is hard for artists.
Yes.
Because I think I shared this with you, I spent years, so for those who don't know, outside of my professional world, I'm a singer-songwriter, spoken word poet, and I spent so many years.
Yeah, you are.
Amazing too.
Thank you. Don't believe the hype. But I spent years undercharging.
No, believe the hype. I'm not going to let you come on our show
really?
and downplay your talent. I've already had this conversation with you before, and I'm calling you out in front of everybody else. If you ever see V, get her something. We compliment you.
Thank you.
You just got to take it. You just got to take it now, because you the boss lady.
Okay.
Jeez.
It's facts.
Yeah.
That's super facts.
Stop that.
Anyway, continue your story. I'm gonna turn my mic down and eat these chips.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest. What was I saying? I spent years undercharging.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, like, people who I knew had money, but I'm like, oh no, it's for the good cause, or no, like, I don't want to be that person. But at the same time, I'm like, this is my time. This is my, and as you were talking about earlier, like, this is your innermost. You know, it's not just my time. That's like my heart on my sleeve.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
Yeah, actually.
It's literally on the sleeve
yes.
of the shirt.
And so it's your art, it's your time, it's your craft.
Yeah.
And the more you learn your worth, the more you recognize that you have been given a gift. And yes, you use that gift with purpose, but you getting paid to invest in your craft is not you selling out.
No.
You need to get compensated for your work.
And it allows you to do more.
Absolutely.
That's what people who forget, you know, because if we didn't get paid, then we make that one thing and then we go away.
That's it.
But it's interesting who expects you to do work for free. Or who doesn't want to support because they don't want to pay. And oftentimes it's the people, you'll oftentimes be surprised by the people, like, even on social media, like, with, and I can't relate to you guys as entrepreneurs, but when I share, like, poetry or whatnot, I told you, I'm a lot, like, it is so scary for me now to share my work online because I have been plagiarized. But at the same time, the people who support that the most, like my work online the most, are often people who I'd least expect it. Sometimes people who I'd expect support from.
That's so true.
Yo, crickets.
and that's the problem with expectations.
Exactly. But the thing is you, when we learn ourselves, I'm talking too much, I'll stop in a second, but when we learn ourselves, we don't create to share. You're creating because you're creating for purpose, and that's what's driving your creation. You're not creating to please the masses. So you're not disappointed when people who you expect. You don't have those expectations because you're not creating for them.
Right. I had an interesting, somebody approached me to do work, and then I, told them the information, gave them the cost. You're like, listen, I'm a fashion person. I'm an artist. I know you're worth that. I can't afford that. And it's one of the most awesome compliments ever to be told your price is high and you're worth every dime. And I hope that in the future I can have enough money to pay you because your work is incredible. So you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, rather than, that's too much. What are you doing? Which I've definitely got.
But this conversation came from a designer and an artist. So.
But why is it okay to say that to artists and entrepreneurs when, like, you have all kinds of different professions out there that charge ludicrous or what we think are ludicrous amounts? But why would you not say that to a professional?
You don't say it to a lawyer or an accountant. You just accept their rate.
Thank you.
But they have a market in which kind of the rate is, like, the validation has been kind of set. Artists, we
set the bar.
So then we have to justify why our work is worth this price tag. In a law office, it's like, nah, this is what it costs.
They all charge like that.
Here's the bill.
Yeah.
And so there's, I guess with something like that, there's less, law is not subjective. It's kind of straightforward. Our art
okay, that makes sense.
Right? So maybe that's what it is. That would be my...
Yes.
I interrupted your thought, though. Please finish your thought. You were saying that the woman is from an industry of fashion.
Yeah, so, and because it was a cool compliment, and it means a lot for that reason. And another thing with the shirt as well, like a lot of the social enterprise talk is, it's doing what you love, like doing the thing you're passionate about. I wish Lauren was here because Lauren knows this fucking corny ass catchphrase so good. like if you don't
do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
well, no, that's not the one, but that is one of them. If in the social enterprise world, if there's no profit, then you can't do what you. I'm fucking butchering this.
Someone text Mark.
Butchering this tag. The concept is like we all want to do what we love to do, but if you don't make enough money to do it, you can't do it.
Right.
So you gotta make enough money to do it, and then you can give back in the ways that you want to. That was way better.
Yeah.
And so I agree. Like it's you have to then use, if you're a smart artist / business person, you end up reinvesting into your art. In video, that's the biggest thing for me. Is like, all right, you want to make better videos, you need more gear. You need a slider, you need a drone, you need So, but if you don't charge for your art, you'll never get a stabilizer, and then your videos will always be shaky.
Yes.
And
which means you'll never be able to charge more for your work because your work is not as quote unquote professional. High quality.
And this is why I buy your pieces. This is why I buy tickets, and this is why I will not accept
I'm always trying to give her
any
stuff.
freebies from you because I support my friend. Like I support your purpose, I co-sign with your purpose, and I will not accept anything from you that you should be compensated for.
Sid had a nice Art Pays Me shirt on today too when they saw him, by the way. Just letting you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. The white.
Yes.
White
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. But you know, like I honestly start this stuff because I'm preaching to myself. Like it's not because I think I got it figured out and trying to tell all the other artists. It's because I'm talking to myself. Like I'm that guy that, like, I felt so guilty about charging to go to Mums and Culture. The price was even less to get in before when Solita's like, we gotta increase the price a bit because we're gonna sink ourselves.
Right. And isn't that the beauty of, sorry to interrupt you, isn't that the beauty of having a professional in the business and to count your numbers so that as an artist you know what it is you have to make, what it is you have to sell it for in order to make the money, to break even or make profits. The numbers in which most artists are fucking terrified to even look at.
Right. So she was looking at other fashion shows that were going on recently and they were like charging 3 times what we were charging. So she's like, look at what they're charging. Are we at the same level or are we not? And I'm like, I like to think we are. Oh, well, you know, so we still didn't charge as much as them, but I said, look, we're new. I feel like we want to get in there.
Yep.
So.
And next time around, she's going to be on and pop even more.
Right. Go ahead.
I'm going to say 2 things to that. One, well, this thought is a response to something a little earlier. One thing I respect about you and your friendship and you as a person is your transparency. Because I don't think I've ever had a conversation with you, however short, where you haven't said, for transparency's sake, and you speak of what you perceive to be a flaw of yours. But you know what? Like, I'm so done with spending any energy on investing in relationships or friendships in my life with people who aren't trying to better themselves.
That's
and
facts.
I love the fact that I'm always reminded of self-betterment in your presence.
Thank you. It's a curse though, because sometimes you just need to not be trying to get better.
Well, but there's a difference between like beating yourself up, and knowing when to be content. And it's like that, like a verse in scripture that I shared with you recently, where St. Paul talked about, I'm learning how to be hungry and full at the same time.
Yes, that's what I want.
And St. Paul was such a G, like just speaking of that balance, right? St. Paul was such a G. But real talk,
G-O-D.
like, but all his letters were written when he was incarcerated. Like the man was facing his own death, writing these letters that will forever live on. And he was one of the greatest, like, Christians of all time. But anyways, that was the first point. The second point I wanted to make was your fashion show. I never in a million years thought that fashion could make me feel something. And I'm still emotional about it. And I texted you that this morning. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm still working through my feelings around it. And that was something I never questioned you. But that was a lack of understanding on my part. But I also had no idea of the brilliance of your mind. And I've been friends with you for how many years? But unreal.
Thank you.
I think that's the coolest part about your work is like the level of depth and like each of like we need a KO style breakdown of every single piece because there's stories and layers.
I was explaining
every single piece that was on the runway, man.
Yeah.
Oh, give us another one.
Well, let me finish up the last little bit of that.
Sorry.
So this the other sleeve, the purpose over profit side of it is sometimes you gotta just do things regardless of the money. And Kaepernick was an example of that where he just said, I don't care if they take my money away from me. I'm standing, I'm kneeling for what I believe
integrity.
in. Integrity, right? And I've had a few situations with me where people have said, if you talk about this in your brand or you blah, 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 you know, people are going to get mad. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, straight up.
Get mad.
Yeah, straight up.
So, yeah, there are moments when I'm just like, you know what? I don't care if you don't want to, I don't care if you're going to boycott me. I've had people who say they're going to do that. Yeah.
But you will not compromise the integrity of your work.
Right, I'm not.
Or your character. Because
yeah.
Your work is a extension of you.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what that other part was. Another one. Let's see. So I had I took the H&M logo and I turned the H into an F, and then made the and into an E. Yes. And basically said F 'em. So
I read that as femme.
I know.
Yeah, it took me a minute, but
that's what I did too. I was like, it's femme. That's what I keep calling it. But it's F 'em. And the reason
depth. I didn't even catch that. Didn't even catch it. I thought it was femme. Like, what is femme?
Right.
Oh, okay.
So
So it's the children can still wear it.
The children can still wear it.
Yeah, see, clever man. I see where your
but do you
mind
see
goes.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So it's like verbal rap. Because I listen to so much rap, I guess probably that my mind kind of visually works that way when I'm designing stuff. So it's like you have to know what's going on.
So, FM.
Yeah. So
is that like?
Yes.
It basically means for me, I don't care if anybody. If you guys said you're gonna shop at H&M tomorrow, I don't care. Like, good for you. But for me, I'm done with them.
Oh, so for you, it's about H&M. It's not just about like the perception of blackness.
No, it's about like how. Okay, so they had that coolest monkey in the jungle thing, right? I was one of the people actually who was like, well, you know, they're not an American company, so you don't really know who the team was who produced it. There are a lot of unknowns in how that shirt made it to production, right? And then to be worn by a black model of all things. So until I know fully how that went down, I don't feel like I'm in the right place to judge. But when their response to it wasn't exactly like, oh, our bad. It was more kind of arrogant. And then on top of that, they've had situations where they have stolen other artists' work and they have been unapologetic about it and using it on their shirts and on their products. And so that was like, now they're ripping off artists as well. And then in general too, there's a lot of talk about how destructive fast fashion as a whole is on just in business processes. So these come H&M, Zara, I would say even Old Navy and Joe, a lot of those companies, they're kind of all in the same category. And, you know, there's no Navy shirt. So I'm not trying to be that guy. But they are able to buy mass quantities of items. They can rip off really quickly what's trendy and ship it out and charge way less than what you would pay at a high fashion store. So you're getting these like everyday prices, but you're getting like almost runway look. So they have their like knockoff Yeezy things and stuff like that. So there's a lot of talk within like the smaller fashion companies like mine, not mine specifically, but the people who do cut and sew, that they can't really keep up because these companies are just They're mass producing and they're doing it in unethical ways by using sweatshops to reduce their costs.
Right.
So it had that multiple layers to it.
V, what was your perspective? And you kind of touched on this earlier, but what was your perspective as a front row experiencer? Because I want to talk about mine as video. What the hell?
Videographer.
As
A filmmaker.
No, as videographing the event.
Videographing.
Videographic?
Videoing? Recording?
Recording?
Recording. I think recording may be.
It's not the word with the
Capturing.
Videographing is now. It's a new word.
Something like that. Yeah, my perspective was different because I was everywhere.
Yeah,
and I got to see all kind of cool different angles at people sitting in the same spot. So can you talk a little bit about how you experienced it, how you felt about it, how you consumed it? And like you said, you're still consuming it. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie. I was holding my sister's hand during the second song, and she was crying, and I was like fighting back tears.
Rise?
Yeah, it was beautiful, and with the children there, and the one little boy's talking to some one like
I have that whole moment.
There was, and the thing is, and I was watching to see, and I knew that you were gonna catch that.
Oh yeah. So good.
It was such a perfect way to start the show. The Art Pays Me song was the lyrics in it were so good.
Yeah.
So good. And the purpose over profit, that I felt like I kind of got like a thud to the chest with that one. I can't front. It was, I don't know, I found it emotional. But it was emotionally moving, I'll say, and thought-provoking, and in ways that I never anticipated fashion to be. And it was also moving because I knew a lot of the models from different circles.
Gotcha.
I've done a lot of work in schools. I know some people, I knew a lot of the models from different places. And seeing the togetherness of everyone and from all different walks of life, all different racial backgrounds, age groups, the lifespan. So I think of everything like medically, right? From like a holistic health approach, I always think across the lifespan. So you had little ones and you know, it looked like you were also making a statement against body shaming because all the models came in like just such beautiful different shapes and sizes, and as a woman who struggles with my own body sometimes, that was a really affirming message for me. And just the confidence of the models, and being able to see you in the booth watching your work and your heart unfold literally in front of an audience of some people you knew and some strangers perhaps, and how that may have been emotional for you or hard for you to feel that exposed. But those are all things that I was paying attention to and trying to digest, hence why I'm still trying to digest all of it 2 days later.
So I have a question. So what I've heard from people who were in the audience is that there were issues with the sound, and particularly with the first artist.
Song? Yep.
So how did that feel for you as like an audience member?
I think for me as an audience member would be different because I'm also a performer.
Oh, okay.
So I was like trying to I was trying to give her like some verbal cues and trying to engage. The audience was, you know, a little stunned at the beginning because audiences are typically awkward at the beginning of shows until they break in, and then they can kind of get a little rowdy. So I was trying to help break the audience in because I know what it's like to be a performer and there be glitches. But she killed it because she was Jah'Mila. She's great in that regard because she's so confident in herself, and she rocked it. So she didn't even blink. If she wasn't confident, then it would have been a little awkward, but it wasn't awkward. The audience was just breaking in.
She gave a couple like, listen lady, turn up my volume. And then she did, and she was like, fuck that, I'm
and she
on.
Asked,
she
asked the lady at one point, she was like, can I just do it?
Because I have to reach out to her because I didn't get to talk to her afterwards. And from what I understood too, is that the sound in her ear, wasn't loud enough. She couldn't really hear herself.
Right.
But she still
killed it.
She killed it. Yeah.
So I'm like, I just wanted to give her that props.
And that's like chaos in the back that people don't know is happening. And that's how you could tell when you're in the moment, who's really locked in. It's like, hey, remember we seen Beyonce got her hair cut in the fan? She just kept on singing anyway, you got a show to perform.
And that's the thing, it is so hard as a performer. And it's hard as a performer to do that while trying to maintain the energy and momentum to do what you're doing when the audience is like still being broken in.
Right.
It's really easy to do that last or second, but to go first and there be glitches and you're trying to like do this, but to have the same amount of confidence when the audience isn't engaging yet.
Right.
Respect.
I'm gonna piggyback on that because I was like on the steps in front of her while she was singing, and so I was like, okay, I could see when they're like, all right, the music's not loud enough. Somebody need to turn music up. And she's like, come on, music up. And it didn't happen. But like you said, she kept her composure. And I think that set the tone for, listen, people,
Caliber.
We had a mistake and we don't give a fuck because the show's going on. And even when there were other technical things, because that's the beauty of technology. It always fucks up when you need it not to.
Yeah.
And so I think as someone who works in that world, I excuse it. I'm like, listen, there's a whole lot of other shit that's going on. The volume not being loud enough. All right.
Yeah.
So, but I think because she was like, hey, listen, I'm starting this thing off. The tempo and the vibration will be set courtesy of what she brought to the table.
Yeah.
And then anything that was little or minor technical was like, hey, who cares? There was a moment where you had to switch from a sign on the thing and you put it back to the library, and I was like, hey, listen, people, you're going to have to sit there patiently.
Yeah.
Because you don't see what this man's doing.
But
he might need another 8 seconds. Guess what? Sit there for 8 seconds and be patient.
But that was so embarrassing for me because I was hustling. I'm like, and then I got so flustered I couldn't remember where things were and how. I'm like, this is my own computer. I don't even know where stuff. It was
But that speaks to how
I couldn't see that in you.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it.
But people were there for it, right? Like I didn't feel like I was waiting long. Like I know the audience, we were all just excited to see what you had cooking.
Yeah.
But that's what people told me. I'm like, yeah, there were some technical things, but honestly, they weren't the thing that really bothered me so much, and so that made me feel better about it.
Yeah.
Because I just know how people are. Like I don't want, again, like people paid money to see this, so I want their experience to be great. But it taught me that the importance of not just the models rehearsing, but we need a rehearsal for the technical and the sound, all of that stuff, in the venue, like, you know, to make sure all of that is working the way we expect it to work.
Sounds like that's that other piece, that other person maybe that you're referring to, having more people within your team to make sure that the certain things are happening the way that they need to happen.
Yeah, like I mean, literally, Salita and I were running to get food.
You were.
You know, I went to get food at one point. She went to get drinks and food at one point. We're dealing with models forgetting things that they were told before and asking us the same questions over and over again. We were dealing with, there were lots of kids backstage.
Yeah, your model age range from what?
Probably the youngest was 3, maybe.
Jeez.
Well, so like the kids weren't really counted as models, but they were modeling. They were modeling.
Yeah. And
the oldest was in their 40s.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then, you know, we had some teenage stuff happening with some of the models. We had one model who just left right before the show started. So one of my looks didn't even get shown. Wow. Yeah, I was pissed.
Yeah.
What?
I was
Never
running,
would even know.
I was running around. You see some video of me running. I mean,
I see Brielle cut.
Where is what's her name? Where is she? Where is she? I'm trying to find her. Blah, blah, blah. This is her shirt. I need her. Where is she? Where is she? And I'm freaking out.
She's gone.
Gone. Left. Didn't say nothing.
Fuck.
So how did you handle that with the slideshow?
Well, luckily, it was one where it was a black version and a white version of a shirt. So the person who had, I think, the white version, I said, look, sorry, I know you rehearsed it with this person. You're going to have to go by yourself. And she was like, okay, cool.
Boom.
And we just went that way.
Good.
And they just, the models, she just, and that was the thing. Some of the models are able to just adjust like that. Some of them were a little more nervous and couldn't adjust as easily when things didn't go exactly as rehearsed. But that's fine. Like overall, like when they got out there, they did their thing.
What they were supposed to do.
You know? Yeah. Backstage, it was like, what? And also, like, Salita had made way more props to go onto the clothing.
Right.
Half of those got left home because she wasn't able to make another trip back home to get the rest of it.
Jeez.
So there were so many things that we kind of had in play that we just couldn't, and it's because
we wouldn't have known.
2 people can't do everything, and that's
right.
We put too much on ourselves, I think, to accomplish it.
Let me let you know right now. With all these blunders, you set the bar.
Listen.
On some next levels,
next
bro.
level things.
That shit was fire. That shit was fire, cause that shit was fire. I don't care what nobody says.
And the things that we're missing, like we don't notice. And
No, you didn't know.
So shout out to Shantae Grant, who's one of my dearest friends, who taught me the lesson of, like, in performing, whether it's a poem or a song or whatever, if you mess up, you just keep going because they don't know you mess up. Like, they have no idea what it's supposed to sound like. They have no idea you messed up. Keep it moving, which is what you did. And we had no idea there was...
Yeah. Beast of that shit. Do you got any love you want to send to anybody to wrap this up?
Yeah. I want to send love to all of the models from the show, all of the people, all the hair people, the makeup artists, photographers, video folks.
Yeah. Glad to be there.
Supporters who came and out to the show. I mean, the amount of social media shares, like my phone's been blowing up.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Even from like the coast, and it's like stuff like that I wouldn't expect. And a lot of people not being fragile about my statements and saying, no, these are important messages, and just being there to hear them. You know, like I was really expecting to get a lot of hate mail, to be honest.
Really?
But no. So I want to just send love to everybody. Oh, and of course, family, wifey, kids. Yeah. Everybody.
On that note, can you tell us about the piece with your daughters?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So, they love dogs, especially their own dog. So my oldest daughter always draws things and incorporates our dog Zeke into it. Yes. So this picture she drew, Zeke's like laying on top of her and he's crushing her, but he's doing it out of love. And she put like spending quality time with my dog, and then she wrote purpose and profit. Not purpose and profit. She wrote pay it forward. Pay it forward. And the reason she did that is because she wants to donate money to animal shelters because she just loves animals. So I said, well, you know what we could do is we could sell a t-shirt that you design and put the proceeds towards an animal shelter. So that's what that kind of design was aimed at, and because she's starting to get interested in entrepreneurship and stuff like that too.
Cool. Of course she is, Dad.
Yeah, and her little sister, she had just given me this, just randomly one day at school, she just drew a big sheet full of hearts and just said, "I love you, Daddy," and gave it to me. So I was like, well, thank you. And I was trying to figure out a way to incorporate her into the shirt too. So I was like, you know what? I could put the hearts over the dog's head because it shows that he's crushing her out of love, which he does all the time. So then it became a collaboration between the two of them. So
that's so cool.
It kind of, and they're so excited to be able to participate.
Man.
The video you have of them.
Oh, the send Dad love.
Yeah.
Oh, I got so many people sending you so much good vibes and positivity, bro.
Like, may these be your affirmations if you ever have any doubt in like your purpose or your impact, or if you ever wonder if you should keep doing what you're doing, may these be your affirmations.
We about to make a documentary of it, so people be on the lookout, because between myself, between Averduni, Brielle, Mitch.
I seen a lot of his photos. Brielle sent me a bunch. Dude, came out great.
There's so much
fire
content that has been created over this weekend. Gabe from Lost and Founders, he was filming at the T.A.L.E.S event. So like all of our people, we've got like a stupid amount of content we will be sharing this weekend with y'all soon. So, moments of culture, baby.
Big love.
All the love.
All the love.
All the love. You got a question from one of your models, actually. She submitted our fan question, our listener question of the week.
Yes, she did, actually.
And then V will get you home because I know you got to go.
Yeah. So she said, as a white, straight, middle-class woman, I'm aware of the privilege I have in our society. I'm trying to find ways of becoming more aware, woke, so to speak, of the racial issues that black people still face all the time, as well as issues of the past in black culture. If you could recommend one book that you think all white people should read, what would it be?
Get a Black Friend.
Get a Black Friend.
It's written by all black people ever.
Okay.
Get a black friend.
But don't be that person who's like,
I have a
my
black
best
friend
is black.
Yeah. Don't be that.
Get somebody who,
Or I had a black coworker once.
like, have people of other in your friend group and social circle, because that's the only way to learn how people live and experience. Like, unless you're gonna find another podcast like this where people are just like, hey, here's all my feelings, we have to find people who are willing to have real life conversations. And if you can open up this conversation, and Gabe and Gab did it, we did it on Lost and Found. Listen, man, we're two white guys and we don't know nothing about this shit. We just want to talk to you. We want to ask you some questions so that we can understand what's going on from your perspective, because it's a lot to assume, it's a lot to think. This must be like that. Actually, you don't know. Just ask somebody and learn, and be willing to take what they're saying, understand what they're saying, listen to their experience, and then try to find ways to combat your, like, the bias and like the things in your brain. Those exist. So it's like, all right, I heard all this other stuff. Now I've actually had an experience with this person. And this is the challenging part. What's real and what's not? Like, how do I program my brain to think a different way now that I am not basing my opinions on people based on stereotypes, but actual life and lived and learned experiences?
And how does my perspective influence my impulse or my reaction to things? How does my prior lived experience influence my reaction to current daily things? Are you feeling what I'm saying?
Elaborate on that.
So, for example, if, let's say I've had, like my example with patients, being a clinician of color, and I have had such a wonderful experience with patients over the years. Like, there will always be some people who are mean, but that's people across any spectrum, right? But I could easily be defensive or easily say, "Oh, I want to take care of white people."
Yeah, you could say that. You'd be out of a job.
They don't like me. I mean, I could take that perspective and apply it to the race of the people who have not been very nice to me.
Right.
But I can't allow those experiences to affect my how I treat other people. Do you know what I mean? And Dwayne, I said this to you earlier this week. How I treat, and Terrence, I think I shared this with you as well, how I treat someone is not a reflection of who they are.
Okay.
It is a reflection of who I am.
Yes.
And so I will continue to operate with integrity. I will operate consistently.
Yeah.
To be consistent in my character always. And that has nothing to do with whether or not you deserve it. But has everything to do with my character.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So not letting those experiences, as a person of color, not letting those experiences influence how I treat other people, because no one deserves to be treated that way. But I think something for me that's important with like having friends and people from different backgrounds is very much along the same lines, where like doing work with youth, one of the things I do when I speak to younger people is always trying to help them acknowledge their own stereotypes or biases, because we're all raised with bias.
Right.
I was raised in a very homophobic culture. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I had to unlearn homophobia.
Right.
And unless we like are honest with ourselves, like, and we're honest enough to acknowledge the bias that we were raised in, we can't unlearn those things.
Right. Yeah.
But I have to be honest enough to say that's a messed up thought.
Yeah.
And where is that coming from? Okay, I could tie it to the fact that I was raised in this. How am I going to unlearn it? Just like this woman asking this question. So now I've identified that I'm predisposed to this, and I got to put the work in to do this.
Right.
I love that she's asking this question,
Yeah.
but I really feel like a lot of the woke crowd, the woke black crowd specifically, gets very angry when people
Want to learn?
they want to learn without, I don't know, like, because I think I personally, I want to consider myself as a safe space
Right.
for
Other
that.
people to learn.
Right.
Like, and I would say that to Maggie too. When you said having a friend, it's like, create a safe space for them to be real with you, and without
Right.
you trying to defend the whole white race. Just if
Right.
they feel like they gotta, like, vent on some shit that white people did to them this week, just let them have that.
And try to figure out where it's coming from and
Where it's coming
understand
from, yeah.
how it affects them. And yeah.
If I'm saying something is happening because of a reason I know, then please don't ask me, well, but do you think it's because of this? Well, I went through every possibility in my head,
Yeah.
and I've been called nigger to my face, so I'm not sure what else it could be. Do you know what I mean? That's what I find to be my pet peeve.
Yeah.
Is when I do open up to speak about an experience that I'm having.
Gets downplayed.
That's the only thing I'd say. Be mindful of doing. Listen. I have a tweet that went viral when the hashtag working while black. So I did like a tweet series of like experiences as a clinician of color, and I didn't expect these tweets to blow up, but they did. And one of them was saying, like, please, before you try and deny the reality of microaggressions, ask questions. If you don't know, ask. And it's so funny because that was like the tweet that I saw like as the least kind of
Right.
fun in the few that I did, but that was the one that blew up.
Right.
Yeah. Ask questions.
Don't you have a shirt that says something about
I will not be gaslit.
Yes, right. And then if you look at it, there's a actual printout of an email of someone trying to gaslight me in there. So when you go close, people,
I saw that shit.
Jeff Burgess? Yeah, Jeff Burgess, you got exposed, buddy. Sorry.
Let him know.
You
Let
out
him-
there. You
Sorry,
out
not
there.
to. Hey, if he's gonna say it,
He said it, yeah. Like, he shared it with me, so he felt emboldened enough to put it out there.
but I'm gonna say I'm
Yeah, go
talking
for
so
it.
much. I'm gonna say one more thing.
You have a
One-
microphone and you're on a podcast and you're talking too much? How does that even work?
So one of my biggest pet peeves with our generation is like this trend of public calling of people out, but no one's really putting in the work to have conversations. I appreciate that you use that email to really have a conversation.
Right.
You didn't out this person to be spiteful or mean or whatever. You're doing it with purpose and a message. If you were just like sharing this and bad talking this person, then I'd be like, okay, Dwayne, we could have a bit more. But
Yeah.
let's have some healthy conversation here.
And the reality is that that wasn't the first of the exchange. The first email he sent wasn't as
Knowing
vitriolic.
you, I don't think it was the first.
I responded to him with empathy and just explained, well, this is why he was mad at me. I didn't choose the headline, but when I featured in the Metro, the headline said unapologetically black.
Yeah. Yeah.
He decides to come off his ass and email me randomly to say, why should you be allowed to be unapologetically black?
If I can't be unapologetically white.
Exactly, and went on to explain this nonsense about how racist it is.
About a title that you didn't even pick.
That I didn't even pick. So, and then I responded with empathy and just tried to explain, look, this is actually what I mean. It's not about me hating white people. It's about, and that was in the song.
Right.
It's about
I noticed
me just being proud of who I am and my culture, because I didn't see it represented in mainstream media, and just saying, look, it's okay to be who you are.
Right. The idea
It's
of
okay
you
to
can't
be
love
who you
yourself without downplaying other people. Like, I like me. That doesn't mean I like you less. It just means I like me.
But here's the thing. It's okay to be who you are and celebrate who you are, especially in a culture where you're called a visible minority.
Exactly.
I always say that, like, whenever that term comes up, I'm like, what does that even mean? And I understand, like, the sentiment behind it, but there's a huge difference.
You're othering people. So and I responded with him that, and then he responds with an even longer email with, you're lucky that slavery happened and brought you away from Africa and all this other nonsense. And I was like,
I had to make him famous.
So I'm like, oh, that's a t-shirt.
Yeah, we're gonna make you famous. We're gonna put you on. Do you have an answer to Maggie's question before we wrap the show? Yeah, go for it, man.
So I have one book. I'm still reading it myself. It's called Stamped from the Beginning: The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America. It's by Ibram X. Kendi. So
that sounds good.
He's not taking the angry black perspective or the black people are superior perspective. He's really just kind of taking the we are all flawed because we are all human, and we should all be allowed to be flawed. And he just like kind of goes back to, like, I'm still in the Europe section where he's trying to piece where we started first recognizing that people of darker skin were valued less than people of fair skin. So he's really going back into that history, and then getting to America eventually to present day. And,
Oh shit.
So it's really
What's it
interesting.
called again?
Stamped from the Beginning.
By who?
Ibram X. Kendi.
Gee, that sounds like a good read.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
There you go, white people. If you need a book, read that one. Courtesy of Dwayne Jones and his book club.
I'm really struggling to get a pen to where
I dropped mine on the floor. I'm sorry.
it's all
That sounds like the show, folks. That was a good ass conversation. Yeah, that was deep dive. See, leave it to V to come in here and just get right in the crux of the emotions and the feelings and the vulnerability.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Then she goes in and then says I'm on a podcast talking too much, but you're adding value and intellect and a perspective that, as we're not caregivers, we're entrepreneurs / business people / artists and creative people. Not that you're not an artist or a creative person, but it's not where you spend most of your time. So,
and it's interesting because I see caregiving as an art, but that's a different conversation.
Ooh, that does sound like a different conversation. Listen, go ahead, Dwayne.
That remind me.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my wife for the first time acknowledged that what she does as an educator is an art. And she's never talked to me about that before.
My hair is just standing up.
But after this weekend, she was like, what I do is an art.
Oh,
good.
And I was like, wow.
Beautiful.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, my hair is just standing up.
Shout out to Mama Jones.
Yeah.
She out there killing it. Caregiving and give no love.
Hey.
V, where they find you at on the social medias and stuff?
Verena Rizg. That's my handle on Instagram. VERENARIZG. Don't put the G before the Z. It's not Rizg.
Yeah, like how she said it.
It's RIZG. It's 4 letters. It's not that hard. Rizg. I'm back on Facebook, and that's my handle on everything. Twitter, Insta.
Boom. Check her out. Poetry, spoken word, singing.
Hey. I'll get more comfortable with sharing my voice.
Yeah. Better.
We're working on that. Where they find you? Papa?
How do you feel about Z versus Z? Sorry, I am.
I've lived in Canada long enough that I'm just like, it's Zed. I just call it Zed. I still don't like what it looks like when I put U's in words that I don't think there should be U's in them.
When I sing the alphabet, I say
Z.
QRSTUVWXYZ.
I say Z in the alphabet.
That shit don't rhyme. What do you mean?
Yeah.
No.
I sing the alphabet every time I need to put things in chronological order.
Good.
Yeah, me too.
That's a tip and trick. Art Pays Me.
Okay, yes, at Art Pays Me all over the place. Instagram and Twitter, and Art Pays Me on Facebook. And we can you'll do the podcast one, I guess.
Yeah, because I can't forget this time. Terrence J. Taylor, TERENCEJ TAYLOR on Instagram. Watch CTM. TerrenceTaylorMedia.com. 100-day field trip. For all the podcast things, we're on, I think it's called FM Player, or Player FM is like the Google Play app that allows us to listen on Android devices.
Oh, I thought it was just Google Play.
I think it was Google Play, but now there's like an actual thing. I think it's Player FM or FM Player. So we're on there. Spotify is still coming soon. We on SoundCloud. We on Stitcher. We on Apple Podcasts. Download and subscribe to podcast, please. These listens matter. We're trying to get on these sponsors because we're really trying to take this to the next level. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you listen every week. Share this with a friend. We're having real conversations on this motherfucking podcast. Okay.
And for the questions, send them to ctnpod@gmail.com.
Yes. Thank you, Maggie. Maggie, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Maggie, for what's her handle? You know her handle?
Yes, I do. It is mindful_Meggie, MEGGIE.
Thank you so much for sending that question in. You rocked the motherfucking show, and you gave a great testimonial to Dwayne. Haha, I have all the secrets, and you don't even know about them. We had a great night. Yeah, CTN Pod is at gmail.com. Is our email?
Yes.
CTN Pod.
Yes, at CTN Pod. Yes.
CTN Pod at gmail.com. If you have questions for us, please send them. We like to figure out ways to engage with you. That's all we do is talk. Oh, go ahead.
Maggie, another thing. I didn't get to thank you at the show, but she made, because I didn't know, to be honest, but apparently she stepped in and made the Jah'Mila, the singer's dress at the very last minute.
Amazing.
So that was incredible that she was able to do that.
You got a squad behind you, bro. Squad behind and beside you.
Now let's learn to delegate.
Yeah, we getting there. CTN Podcast on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Changing the Narrative Podcast. Damn. That's it. It was a beautiful day.
Yes.
Continue to have good conversations. Be uncomfortable. Talk to people who don't look like you. Share a story of some shit that happened to you that maybe somebody might not understand. And when they ask you tough questions, think about them and answer them. And then deep dive into how they feel. Because that's what we do on the show. We just talk about how we feel.
That's it.
And it's love.
That's it.
We love y'all. We see you next week.
Peace.
Yay.